Hello, everybody. This is Brett Davis coming to you from the Brett Davis Show in Coronado. How are you guys doing today? I'm very honored to have a very interesting guest. It's I don't think I've ever met anybody that does this. Michael Fisher with Coronado Oils. How you doing, Michael?
Good morning. Doing fantastic, all things considered.
Well, it was nice meeting you a few weeks back, and we walked into your place. Had no idea that you were there, and I go to Starbucks all the time. Shameless plug for them. And was pleasantly surprised at all the varieties of flavors that your oils have.
Yeah, we're kind of tucked away back there. A lot of folks like you say they walk by and they never knew we were back there. It's just the kind of the configuration of those buildings from the early 1920s, the way they were built. It used to be a bakery, and they shared those three stores side by side. Then they kind of cut them down and made a bowling alley out of our place. And then on back of us, there's a dance studio. It used to be an old racquetball court, like a 3-panel racquetball court, so you can tell the date of the buildings. But anyway, yeah, we are tucked away back there, but people know we're there. We try to reach out to the community and let everybody know. But thank you for having me, too.
I had no idea there was a company like yours in San Diego, and I should because I've lived here my whole life. But what I was surprised about is there's so many varieties of flavors. Can you tell me what that's all about? Because for the average person, they wouldn't know, would they?
Exactly. No, they wouldn't. They would go to the grocery store and they'd pick out a red balsamic vinegar and an extra virgin olive oil, and sometimes they can find some flavored ones. But after the Second World War, the Mediterranean diet came out, and a lot of oil companies popped up. But through the years, they kind of refined that, and there's a lot of companies and distributors out there. And the one I work for is called Veronica Foods, and they're based out of Oakland, California. And they provide this thing called ultra premium olive oil. So, my background is I'm kind of an engineer, a science kind of guy. And so I believe in chemistry. And so the chemistry is what pulled me towards these extra virgin olive oils. And the varieties we have, we probably carry more so than anybody else in the region, because there is about 3 different olive tasting rooms in the area, but nobody carries the volume we have. We have about 57 total. About 28 olive oils and then more vinegars included. And they pretty much stay the same as far as the vinegars go. Once in a while, they'll have a seasonal come in. But, that question you asked me there, people think of balsamic vinegars, they think of just a red traditional balsamic vinegar. Well, back in the early 70s, they started experimenting and infusing those red vinegars with flavors. And then starting in the 80s, they started playing around with the white balsamic vinegar. So they're relatively new to the market as well. So all these oils and vinegars, well, the vinegars come from Modena, Italy, except for things like maple comes from Vermont, and say a seasonal one from like pumpkin spice would come from, the vendor in Oakland. But yeah, just like fine wines, I'm going to switch over to the oils real quick. They come from all over the world, and we have the best. And recently, we just got this high polyphenol in. It's about over 1,000 parts per million. That's really used for medicinal purposes. But every 6 months, we rotate the crops. We're rotating out of the southern crush right now and going to the northern crush. And people often ask, well, how long is this oil good for? Well, it's 12 to 14 months in a day to crush, because oxygen, time, and temperature is what gets the chemistry down in those olive oils. The balsamics, though, however, last forever.
So they do different things, don't they? I mean, I saw one. Did you have a what's the one that people typically do? You had an elderberry, am I correct?
Yes, that's fairly new to the market here. Elderberry is good. That's an infused balsamic, and we just got elderflower in, a white one too. And what you can use those for, it's relatively new, so we don't have a lot of recipes yet for it, but we always experiment with them. And once I get good recipes from the users, actually, not from me, I play around with them, but when the users come back and get a good recipe, then I go ahead and distribute that to folks. But you can go ahead with all the white balsamic vinegars. People don't know, but we were a tasting room until 15 March last year, and you would come into the store and I present you with ice cream or sparkling water or champagne on the weekends, and you would just go for anything you wanted to taste by my recommendation or by your own tastes. But typically the white balsamics, folks would go ahead and put about 2 tablespoons into sparkling water, and it's called a virgin Bellini, or they put it into champagne and have a real Bellini. So that elderberry is very sweet. It tastes very, very good. But primarily the white balsamics are for drinking and salads, where the reds are more for cooking and salads as well. They make good reductions.
Could you get a little closer to the microphone? For some reason, you're sounding canny than when we first started. Something changed. I don't know what happened. That way we get a good sound interview for you.
Okay.
A little closer.
Closer to the microphone.
That sounds a little better.
Okay. Well, if you don't mind looking at my face up close, I'll talk closely.
You have a nice face, Michael. It's okay.
Got the first haircut in 2 months right now. Yesterday, as you know, the what you call California lifted the barbershops and those people to take care of us. So I'm going out and making sure I support them.
That's great. They're going to need a lot of help, aren't they?
Yes, sir.
So, what are your favorites that you like to have? Because I'm sure you have your favorites. Am I correct?
Oh yeah. We have a couple of them. You walk in there, and there's a lot of folks. The first question I ask them is, "Have you been in a place like this before?" And if they say no, that's one way I approach them. If they say yes, I approach them another way. Well, most people that say yes, they've been in here before. They know what they're looking for, and they ask me, hey, what are your favorites too? And the people that don't know have to give a little bit more information. But the Tuscan herb is kind of like liquid pizza. It's kind of a 300 polyphenol olive oil, but it has about 5 herbs in it. Another one we have is herb de Provence. And so people go ahead, I just want a bread dipper, I want something to cook with, something to finish. Those are 2 go-to ones. And then on the balsamic sides, it's traditional, of course, for the reds. And I'm glad you asked that question, because oils and vinegars don't go together physically. Actually, they separate themselves. So when we do tastings, we have like bread in there, and you would break that porous bread up and go through the oil to get to the vinegar and taste that homogeneous solution that way. But I tell them when they're home, that's called a pairing. And when they go home, just use their favorite mustard or honey to be their catalyst to bring the oils and vinegars together. So my favorite, to answer your question, I like the Tuscan herb for cooking and finishing, and I like traditional for kind of doing, and raspberry for doing reductions. But that said, a lot of folks come into the shop, and there's 2 different varieties of folks too. They come in there and they're either cooks, or they're coming in there for medicinal purposes. And when I mean medicinal purposes, they're looking for that high polyphenol that comes in true extra virgin olive oil. And that's why I mentioned it earlier today, right now, that high polyphenol of 1,000 polyphenols. We've never seen anything that high before. I've had 997. This one's 1160. And the thing is, the higher the polyphenol is, the more anti-inflammatory property you have in that olive oil. So people come in there that have arthritis, cancers, pilots, those kind of folks that go through altitude up and down, their body hurts. They want to reduce inflammation naturally, and the way they do that is that polyphenol that's in there. My rule of thumb is 2 tablespoons of that per day is equivalent to 200 milligrams of ibuprofen non-synthetically, because it gets processed through your intestine, through your bloodstream that way, instead of going through your kidneys and your liver as medicinals would. So they come in here and get that olive oil, that high polyphenol, use that for the medicinal purposes. The higher the polyphenol, though, it has a more peppery, bitter taste. A lot of people can't take that. I call them 2 coughers. But you don't have to drink it like that. All you have to do is make sure you're using it. You can put it in a salad, put it in coffee, put it in your oatmeal. As long as you're having those 2 tablespoons a day, it keeps the doctor away.
So it's it's kind of an immune builder.
Yes. So non-flavored olive oils are like, cream of the crop, and the flavored ones, they're just coming into their own, because there's 2 types they have. I'll tell the folks, they have fused and infused. The fused olive oils is where they go ahead and they crush the olives, which is they crush the olives, the citrus, or the fruit at the same time to get that 50-50 taste. And olive oil is a flesh oil versus a nut oil, which is, all the other oils are nut oils. But that infusion, it makes a very, very fine taste. So when you're cooking certain dishes, if you want an blood orange taste, or you want a Mayor lemon taste, or you want a eccentric taste too, then those are infused, like liquid smoke, like a kind of a taste for like olive wood smoke, for example. So there's just a variety, and you can have fun with them and pair your own up. And I do have pairing lists in the shop where you just cover one up. You look down this list here, or I'll ask people what they have in their cupboard and kind of help them out, and help them get the best pairing that they can. But those true EVOs can pair with anything on the balsamics, and then that traditional balsamic pairs with anything on the other side of the room, for example. What you got to be careful about, though, is when you find things with herbs in them, like garlic is found in a lot of different things. Well, if you get olive oil with garlic in it, and you're going to put garlic in your dish, or garlic's inside your balsamic, for example, then you're going to have an overpowering taste of garlic. And one more note on those mixing and matching, it's always 2 parts olive oil to 1 part balsamic. very easy.
So with the pandemic going on, there's been a huge increase in insomniacs. Is there one of the oils or vinaigrettes that you could recommend for people that maybe you're not getting enough sleep?
Mm. There's a lot of things. Just I'm glad you brought this topic up. Um, there's a lot of health benefits to both olive oil and balsamic. They both differ from side to side there. I'll go over real briefly with the on the balsamic side of the house. A lot of people come in there and they go, you know what? I take a shot of apple cider vinegar, once a day. And, and for those benefits, it's a digestive. It helps type 2 diabetes, keep the sugar level kind of steady, that kind of thing. Well, all the balsamics in our shop do the same thing, but I think they taste a lot better than apple cider vinegar, for example, because they're very, sweet, and you have vanilla and chocolate and dark cherry and all these different flavors like that. But so it keeps your sugar level down. It calms your stomach down if people have issues with that. So that's just two primary ones for the balsamics. On the oils, the primary benefit is that antioxidant value. The rest of the values, the chemistries, all talk about how fresh the oil is, how long it's going to last, those kind of things. And a typical rule of thumb is 12 to 14 months in a day to crush. And that's why we rotate out of there every 6 months. I think as far as the insomnia goes, I think that there's probably a good diet is the best for folks. I don't know about a direct benefit of oils and helping folks with insomnia, but I'd say a good diet is probably beneficial. And your lifestyle, and you make these small little changes in your lifestyle here, and you get these benefits on the far end. That's what this olive oil does. It doesn't work overnight. It has to be part of your daily diet.
Well, I think from what I understand, and you mentioned it earlier, that and I've looked at a lot of the eating plans. I'm a nutritionist, by the way.
Okay, all right, yes.
That's why I was drawn to your shop. Other than the fact it's just fascinating, it smells wonderful when you walk in there. The Mediterranean eating plan seems to be the best way to have a balanced lifestyle.
Yes, I agree. There's plenty of other diets out there. Some diets kind of come and go. The keto diets, all those kind of things. And, when I talk to people about the Mediterranean diet, you're absolutely right. That was determined after World War II, why the longevity of folks in the Northern Mediterranean was longer than other folks around the world, especially the U.S., for example. And it was attributed to their diets, some obesity and some diets. But then again, you look at other diets too, like in the Pacific Rim, especially the Western Pacific Rim, it was big fish eaters. So omega-3s and stuff like that are also another diet that people depend on for their health as well. But now everybody knows about the Mediterranean diet, and and our stuff comes, all of our oils, all of our vinegars come from Medina, Italy, and all of our truffle stuff comes from Italy and France right now. And then all the oils come from both hemispheres now, just like fine wines. Right now we've got a Greek one in. Northern California comes first because they're local here to us. And then, they're just fantastic. It's based on the region and the soil, just like wines is where they grow them now. So it's not only just a Mediterranean diet. Some of our oils come from Chile, South America, Australia, and Africa. And the best olive oils, believe it or not, everybody remember this, the first olive oils came from the North African continent, and Tunisia is where the best olive oils come from. So a lot of Middle East folks come in the shop and they know their olive oils a lot better than the people that live in Europe, for example, because they know that they've been around for about 4,000 years for doing olive oil, where Italy and Greece is about 3,500 years ago.
So during the travels, I know a lot of the countries like Italy, for example, would go to different countries and they would go look for different things. So apparently they found it in Africa.
Yes. Matter of fact, the first olive oil was called liquid gold because they would go down to, North Africa and purchase this olive oil with gold. And so that's liquid gold. A little more trivia, I ask people too is, what do you think during the first Olympics, what did they get when they won the Olympics? Well, they got a olive reef and they got olive oil. And they would typically take that olive oil and sell that for gold, and hence your gold medal. And today, one thing that continues today is the Greco-Romans, they wrestled with the oil. So it was aristocracy that had the good quality oil and stuff like that. But that's why they call it liquid gold. Yeah. Good question.
Very good history lesson that didn't anticipate getting history this morning on top of cooking and nutrition. Very fascinating. Have you been to any parts of the world?
Yes, sir. So, I am retired military. I did about 24 years and kind of a must.
Thank you for your service. Thank you.
Go ahead.
Oh, thank you for your service.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for hosting me as well. In that 24 years, I did travel the world. I was primarily an East Coast sailor, and I was a Mustang too. A lot of folks know what that is. So I was enlisted first, and then I got a commission, went command at sea, ended up in Spec War, and that's what brought me to Coronado. But during those 24 years, I've been all over the world, and first thing I would do is go to a nice small restaurant, versus eating, Navy food, and I'd go on the menu and I'd say, give me your special for the day. You know what I mean? Whatever it was. And I'm never, I don't ever turn anything down. So I started trying different foods, and I found out I never had octopus in my life before, until I went to Greece. And one food they have there throughout the Mediterranean is octopus. So I get octopus. It comes with little new potatoes and a little bit of greens on the side, and olive oil and maybe some garlic only. And it's fantastic. So traveling around the world, I'd always go seek, these different foods, authentic. I always ask for the specials. I know you look at the menu sometimes, it's bring me the special for the day because I want to know what it is. Even when we travel today, which we travel a lot, at least twice a year, prior to the pandemic anyway, our last venture was in Portugal. And what we did there is we, not only go into restaurants, but we went and visited one of the distributors for Veronica Foods, which is where we get our oil from. And they put the red carpet out for us just because they know that we're interested in their product. They're very proud of what they do. And you see the process from beginning to the end. And we went in November of the previous year, because that's when the crush takes place. So we got to see the whole process. We spent a couple days with them. And then we jumped on a, riverboat cruise, a hiking cruise. And we saw the whole countryside and just, man, we do it every year. It's wonderful traveling. That's one thing that I like about is the cooking aspect, is knowing what other countries do and then trying to bring those flavors and tastes back here for other people to experiment with.
We have a restaurant in Coronado. It's called Serrano's. It used to be Mexican Village. And
yes.
They have a fresh octopus that they serve daily.
Oh, well, I didn't know that. I'm gonna try that for sure.
Bring some of your olive oil, and also as you're eating it.
Absolutely.
I'll walk downstairs and join you.
Oh, is that where your studio's at? Right there?
Right above them. Yes. So, what's the future look like for Coronado Oils?
Well, that's a good question. One thing is I want to say we're blessed, very blessed here to live in Coronado. We have remained open during this whole pandemic, and a lot of people had to take, change their business plans. We did too before we were mandated to do it. So the first thing we did is we kind of said, okay, we can't do any tastings. We're a tasting room, and I want everybody to taste everything before they buy it, for example. But so with that said, what we did is we turned ourselves into, I let everybody go home for the 21 days back in early or mid-March last year. But I stayed there and worked and just reduced the hours somewhat. And that was a learning experience for me because I learned everybody's job that I thought I knew doing it all myself for about 3 months, because some people did not come back and some people did come back. But long story short, we take precautions now for, before we were told what we have to do or what's mandated. So we secured things. We did a disinfection, our place. We're always clean. And so we do it now twice a day, not the morning and the evening. It's morning, middle, and evening. And what we did is we changed our business plan to a gourmet grocery store. So what that means is we were able to be, considered a critical customer, because people want to come in and buy all the pastas and food and stuff like that. And up front, we were doing very well when the pandemic hit, because people needed food, for example, right? But what I also did is I did curbside pickup, which everybody else did too. And then I also did free home deliveries in Coronado. And that was a real boost, because a lot of folks, they didn't want to come out. They're in lockdown, they're a little older, they're concerned, but they still need to cook as well. So at the end of the day, most of my days, I go do home deliveries in Coronado. What's nice about that, I can see all the folks that were in the shop beforehand. So it makes them feel safe, we feel safe. And we also, our internet business, we kind of put a lot of effort in the internet business. We have a lot of followers there. I'd say about 6,000, you know what I mean, which is very nice. So we get orders from everywhere from upstate New York to Florida to you name it, and they're coming back to us all the time. So I thank all those folks for supporting this small business in Coronado, because our point of sale went down, but our internet went up. And overall, I can say this, we are down 25% from last year previous. So we did take a hit, but we're blessed to stay open. And we're going to continue doing these things regardless of what happens with COVID or the mandates that we put in place, the social distancing, the face mask, you know, the cleanliness, all those things are in place. They will stay regardless of where we go. But that home delivery is cool, and the free deliveries for, like, you know, orders over 100, and then it's just really worked out for us. It's keeping us alive. And I'm just so sorry the businesses around me, you know, right next to us, we have, you know, restaurants open for breakfast and lunch. They were closing and opening as, you know, we were going through the pandemic. So I think the future for us is pretty good, as long as, you know, my job is to educate people on what we have. And once they know what we have and the benefits of it, you won't go back to something that's it's not so good for your body. You probably want the best you want for your body, your cooking. And everybody's pretty much health conscious right now as it is. So I can't wait for tasting to come back, because that's a critical portion of our shop. It's Coronado Tasting Room. Okay, Taste of Oils is our you know, signage, but we are a tasting room. And that experience is what's lacking right now. And it's lacking for people that come in the shop too, and they want to taste, and I want them to taste, but unfortunately, I can't do that. With the lift right now on the food outside, you know, we're not a restaurant, we're this grocery store. So when, you know, when Costco starts serving bites and tastes, I guess that's when we'll probably do it too. I'm trying to think outside the box a little bit. Some folks are doing tastings. I don't know how they're doing it, you know, with the mandates, but as long as it's outside, so maybe I'll move a couple like 4 or 5 oils or vinegars and put them out front and have people, they can taste it on their own. You know, they touch the cups and they touch the bottles, or they touch the foodie kind of a thing. And if I do it, it's going to be, you know, with white gloves, of course. But I think once the tasting aspect comes back, everybody's going to enjoy it a lot more than they can right now, because right now they just take my word for it or some of the literature, and that's not fun.
I appreciate you being on the show. I look forward to purchasing some of your oils. My daughter is a chef, by the way, so I've told her about you. I'm going to bring her over there.
Fantastic.
What's a good website people can go to that want to order from you and help you?
Okay. Well, it's one of them is CoronadoTasteOils.com. And then we're Eagle Journal, our little local paper here, as you know, is a good one. You go right in the back or right in the center there, CoronadoTasteOils.com.
I see you. There you are.
Yeah. So we're open, 10 to 7. I'm pretty much open earlier and later when I'm there. I'm typically there Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, unless there's a big snow day up in Big Bear like there is right now. I try to get up there. Yeah.
I appreciate you being on the show, Michael. Thank you so much from Coronado Taste of Oils. You're the best. And be safe and take care of yourself.
Thank you, Brett. Thanks for having me. Appreciate everything. Be safe out there, okay?
You too, Michael. Be safe. Thank you.
All right. Talk to you shortly.
I also love to thank my sponsors for being great sponsors, because we're still open because of them, and we support them and believe in them. Thank you to Attorney King for everything you do, being a phenomenal guy. We've named the studio Attorney King Studios. And of course, I want to thank Saquon Casino and Resorts, who are fabulous partners, Indian Motorcycle of San Diego, the gym. The gym is a wonderful, we're doing our law enforcement person of the month. We just honored our first sheriff. Thank you to the gym for helping us create that for our law enforcement individuals. Serranos of Coronado, some of the best Mexican food, not only in Coronado, but in San Diego. And last but not least, IB Fitness. Thank you so much for your support. Everybody take care and God bless.
Cheers.
Good job.